She was sleeping in 8A. When the captain asked if any combat pilots were on board, Maya sat slouched in seat 8A, the hum of the airplane engine lulling her into a deep, almost dreamless sleep. She had boarded the early morning flight from New York to London, exhausted from a week of grueling presentations and endless meetings. The cabin was dimly lit, the overhead lights casting a soft glow across the passengers, many of whom were buried in their own worlds of screens, books, or sleep. She barely registered the low murmur of the flight attendants moving up and down the aisle, checking seats, adjusting blankets, and offering drinks. Her head tilted to the side, resting against the window, her long brown hair spilling across the seat. For a few blissful hours, she was alone in her own bubble of serenity, disconnected from the chaos of the outside world. Then, a voice pierced through the calm. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. We have a situation that requires immediate assistance from any combat pilots on board. If you are a trained fighter pilot, please make yourself known to the crew immediately." Maya's eyes snapped open, and her heart jumped into her throat. She rubbed her eyes, thinking she had misheard. But the captain's voice came again, firmer this time, echoing through the cabin. "Any combat-trained pilots, please respond. This is an emergency." Passengers stirred, some murmuring anxiously, others reaching for their phones. Maya's mind raced. She wasn't a combat pilot, she was an aerospace engineer, an enthusiast of flight simulators, but she had never flown a military aircraft in real life. Yet something inside her stirred, a part she had kept hidden for years. Her phone buzzed. A message from her old friend and mentor, Colonel James Hargrove, flashed across the screen. "I heard about your flight. If they need a pilot, trust your instincts. You're ready for more than you think." Maya's stomach twisted. She hadn't flown a fighter jet since her training years ago, a program she had left after an unexpected injury. But she remembered every lesson, every drill, every emergency maneuver she had been forced to memorize. Deep down, she knew she could handle herself. She straightened in her seat, alert now, as the flight attendants moved closer. One young woman, her eyes wide with fear, whispered, "Are there really any combat pilots on board?" Maya took a deep breath. "I might be able to help," she said softly, though her voice carried the weight of certainty that surprised even her. The flight attendant's eyes widened in disbelief. "Follow me, please." As she walked down the aisle, Maya's nerves were tempered by the rhythm of her training kicking in. She felt alive in a way she hadn't in years. The cockpit door was guarded by a stern-looking officer, who gave her a skeptical glance. "You're a pilot?" he asked, arms crossed. "Yes," Maya replied, trying to suppress the tension in her voice. "Combat trained. I've flown F-22s before." The officer's eyes narrowed. "Show me your credentials." Maya handed over a small card tucked in her wallet, a relic of her military past. After a tense moment of scrutiny, he stepped aside. "All right. You're coming in." The cockpit was a flurry of activity. The co-pilot was on the radio, clearly in communication with air traffic control, while the captain's hands moved deftly across the console, checking instruments and plotting maneuvers. Screens flashed red, warning lights blinking urgently. "What's happening?" Maya asked. The captain, a tall man with silver hair and sharp eyes, turned toward her. "We've received reports of an unidentified drone approaching our flight path. It's armed and moving fast. We need someone with combat experience to help intercept it. You're our only option at this altitude." Maya's heart raced, but her mind cleared. Every drill, every simulation, every tactical lesson came back with vivid clarity. She leaned over the control panel, scanning the trajectory data. "I can intercept it, but we'll need to adjust our altitude and speed. I'll guide you through the maneuver." The captain nodded. "Do what you must." As they prepared for the maneuver, the passengers in the cabin could feel the tension. Some whispered prayers, others gripped the armrests. Maya focused entirely on the screens in front of her. The drone was fast, faster than she had anticipated, but she had trained for this. Her fingers danced across the controls, inputting commands, calculating angles, and predicting the drone's path. Then it appeared on the main display, a sleek, metallic drone, buzzing like an angry hornet, closing in fast. Maya's breath hitched for a moment, but she pushed the fear aside. "Captain, we'll need a sharp turn to the left at 10,000 feet. Trust me on this." The plane tilted gracefully, a maneuver that sent a ripple of unease through the cabin. Maya's voice cut through the radio static. "Prepare for interception. I've got a visual." The drone came into view outside the cockpit window, its sensors glowing ominously. Maya's hands moved instinctively, guiding the plane closer, positioning it just right to neutralize the threat. A small, controlled flare burst from the plane's wingtip, and the drone's trajectory faltered. It spun uncontrollably before breaking apart mid-air. Silence followed. Then, a collective sigh of relief swept through the cabin. Passengers clutched each other, some crying with relief, others laughing nervously. The captain let out a breath he hadn't realized he'd been holding. "You did it," he said quietly, looking at Maya with newfound respect. "I didn't know you had it in you." Maya smiled, exhausted but exhilarated. "Neither did I," she admitted. As the plane leveled out and resumed its course, Maya returned to her seat. The passengers applauded, some standing to offer thanks, though she merely nodded, letting the moment sink in. She looked out the window at the clouds drifting by, thinking of how fragile life could be, how fleeting courage often seemed until it was needed most. When the flight finally landed safely in London, Maya stepped off the plane to applause and cheers. Reporters and passengers alike clamored for interviews, but she quietly slipped away, feeling the weight of what had just happened. She had been sleeping in 8A just hours before, unaware that fate had been waiting for her. And now, she realized something profound. Bravery wasn't always about choosing danger. Sometimes, it was about waking up when the world needed you the most. Maya walked into the bustling terminal, her heart still racing, her mind alive with possibility. The world was wide and unpredictable, and today, she had reminded herself that even the most ordinary moments could change everything, and perhaps, just perhaps, sleeping in 8A had been the first step toward a destiny she had long forgotten.